And welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 21st, 2024 at approximately 4:33 p.m. PST. Now, I have returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, we are looking at today, this week, we're focusing on mental health. The neat part about it is today we're looking at society. And oddly enough, there are some things going on that I'm going to throw out, I'm going to put my foot in the middle of because, well, I'm subtle. Okay, and we'll explain that in just half a minute. The subtlety, I think you figured out. But before I get into that, scrolling back up here, Joe Stewart, you are in with the goal. And what do we got? Oh, very good. Joe's going, hi, I had this morning my very first Bigfoot dream. And in the dream and in Dream Journal 4, and Mom bought me a $5 dry erase board at the dollar store for the wall upstairs. And I will tell you, dry erase boards work very well for tracking certain things. Okay, now, but I'm glad to see you got here, Joe. Nightmare, you are in with the silver. Welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen you in here in a while. That wouldn't be a surprise for me. Moonhawk, you are in with the bronze today. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And we have Nathan from the Quantum Show in with the honorable mention. And, Nathan has his own show, his own live stream on Saturdays from 9 p.m. Pacific, usually to about 11 p.m. Pacific, depending, but it varies as far as the ending time goes. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, definitely give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. And we have running the backside of things, we have Storm in here. And again, guys, you'll notice Nathan is a moderator, so is Storm 2012 and LA Moon. And here's the kicker with the moderators. I've turned it over to them. I've given them a number of concerns and said, look, if this is getting out of hand, I don't care. I mean, it does matter to me what's going on, but I don't need to be involved in it to start with. Meaning, if somebody steps out of line and creates a problem, then they have full authority. That was batting, and that was really poor English. But they have full authority to pop somebody out. Now, understand from the way I get it, if you get popped out of the room, you can still listen. You just can't get into the chat room because I no longer have the tolerance or the wherewithal to cope with the amount of stupidity going on. Now, this room has been phenomenal. Okay. And I cannot thank you guys enough for the effort that you put in and the encouragement that I've received. Okay. The reality of it is that I do not see him come in. Oh, I'm just looking at this and notice the name. That's what it was. I read Joe S. Knight. There's actually a comment in the middle of that. But the thing is, when we are looking at mental health, absolutely, it starts with you. Okay? And it starts with the way you see yourself. Okay? Yeah, Nathan, it really was. And, if it hadn't been for the fact that I have a tendency of running days really, really long, I actually really enjoyed the topic yesterday. Just unfortunately, my schedule gets a little screwy. You should see what's happening now. I was up today, and yes, I take Sundays off the game. But I've got this stream. Remember, I mentioned I was pushing the consulting side. I've got, I finished this stream. Half an hour later, I've got one, maybe two more readings. And then as soon as I get done them, I've got one more consultation that I've got to step into. This is what happens when you decide you're no longer interested in following what everybody tells you is possible, including myself. As in, I told myself, I am lousy at getting my name out there. Well, I don't know. 4 days, 5 consultations might be working. What do you think? Now, just scrolling down to see if we're missing anybody here. No, we seem to be sitting in good shape. Oh, there you are. Yeah, landscaping I gave up on. Fortunately, my landlord happens to run the apartment building, so I'm good. Yeah, I got one a little bit more, and don't take this the wrong way there, Nathan. Absolutely get yourself to the Bigfoot conference. Myself, I'm getting much more ramped up than I actually thought was possible regarding heading down to Utah in a couple of weeks. The nice part about it is we have to look at this society right now and go, okay, what is going on? And the first rule of thumb, you got to get a handle on yourself. Here's what happens if you don't. Okay, society has gone down this road before. Now, I've never researched history to to any degree. Okay, but the things that mankind are doing to each other, this is the same sort of thing I watched people do to each other in ancient Rome. And we saw how that worked out. Okay, same thing. And I bought right into it at the beginning of it. Okay, I bought into the Spanish Inquisition. I was absolutely pleased with myself with the amount of pain I could cause somebody. This lifetime, I am asking people directly, enough of the hinting. Okay, enough of the hinting. I have tried for the last 5 years to guide people by just kind of hinting, well, you got to do this. Now I'm coming straight out and going, look, enough of the childish behavior. Oh, heavens, I'm not heading for Yukon there, Nathan, if that's what you're referring to. Okay, from my standpoint, did I miss something here? Nope, I did not. No, I'm heading for Utah because that's where my other half is. But here's the thing, guys. The way people are treating each other and blaming everybody else. Let me put this in very blunt terms. When you have a falling out with somebody, when you have an argument with somebody, the reality of it is this. Okay, somewhere between the way you're seeing it and the way you're telling people and the way the other party is seeing it, the way they're telling people, somewhere between the two is the truth. That's just the way it is. Now, the fact of the matter is, when I look at a situation, I'm not perfect. Do not get me wrong. If I were perfect, I'd be a multimillionaire right now. Okay, clearly I am not. By the way, I become a multimillionaire. You see what I'm wearing? That's pretty much what we're looking at. I do have to get new clothing, don't get me wrong. But I'm not interested in wearing some sort of a placard that says, hey, I got millions of dollars. I'm the greatest person on the planet. I'll tell you, you couldn't be much further from the truth. Not in my eyes. Now, the support I've gotten out of you guys is great. But let me ask you this. If someone tells you that you're stupid, often enough, you are in all likelihood going to, number one, start seeing it as such, and number two, start behaving that way. Now, I know of a couple of confrontations that are going on with people And I've told you, the reality is, if we're going to turn this world around, it is time to turn the tide on it and go, okay, there was a fallout. Friendships have dissolved. I'm not going into the details on which ones. Okay. Because some of the relationships I see coming apart, I also know are going to come back together or have a shot. Okay. Again, it's up to the individuals. But blaming the other person and, saying it's all their fault is absolutely wrong. Okay. Let me ask you this. If you just think about it, okay, and we're just going to go the route of fidelity, okay, if one partner cheats on the other, whose responsibility is it? Like, where does the blame actually sit? I'm just curious if we're going to get any sort of a feedback out of the chat room. I have come to the understanding I don't get a lot. That's okay. I figured that one out. And by the way, Nathan, skinwalkers, I don't know a lot about them. UFOs, my going anywhere doesn't exactly hide me. But I have come to the understanding that I can sort things out. Oh, definitely. Joseph's going, Joe Stewart is going, always apologize to the person you had the falling out with. One thing I will inform you of, guys, whether you feel you did something wrong or you feel you didn't, okay, the reason for apologizing is not to forgive the other person. That's not what you're forgiving. What you're doing is literally forgiving the situation enough that you can move forward. Now, the fact of the matter is sometimes that's not going to work. And here's why. No matter how much effort you put in, okay, no matter how much effort at all, it's only 50% of the required effort. Now, when we look at mental health, stress kills. Okay, there's no polite way to put it. There's no nice way to smooth it out. It's just stress kills. And yes, if you say something, it might trigger a bit of an altercation. If you don't say something, you're looking at the person that did that. Okay, I bottled everything. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. You know what the side effect was? Real hoot. Had a stroke. Okay, this sad. Do not get me wrong. I do not believe that apologizing if you don't feel that there's an apology in order. Okay, it's still imperative that you do forgive them, even if you're not going to apologize. Forgive them for what they've done. Now, there was a young lad centuries back that in the middle of being punished to the extreme, he literally looked up in this guy, referring to everybody around him. And he goes, "Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do." Okay. I finally came to the conclusion this lifetime. I've been here multiple times. No, I don't expect you to believe that I can work with it. I finally figured out the reason people are being, and you can forgive this one if you want, the reason people are being so absolutely self-absorbed and stupid, okay, is because they don't know any better. You may never have been shown a better, more effective way to do it. Now, do not get me wrong. People have wronged me in the past. And there are some people I have absolutely closed the door on. One in particular, we had a gentleman that used to game every week with us until he decided to be an idiot. And it was a blatant choice. He started getting absolutely abusive in my house. Okay, in my apartment. No, I don't own the place. But I'll tell you, I don't tell people that they're coming over to my landlord's apartment that I happen to be living in. Okay, so he decided to be extremely rude and disrespectful in my own home. I told him he was leaving the house right then. Okay. He never came back. We never invited him back. As a matter of fact, his name was dropped out of conversation. Okay. We just sheared the whole thing off. And he had been gaming with us for a couple of years. When you're labeled with something, okay, whatever that label, even if it's something you call yourself, okay, I will tell you that is going to go with you. But a label is simply a word. Okay, that's what you got to realize. And if you're going to label somebody else, number one, make sure you know what you're labeling them. Okay, I am working on a number of things to get them sorted around for you guys. But the reality of it is this: if you buy into whatever label you've been given, understand something real critical here. Schizophrenic does not mean stupid. Blind does not mean ignorant. And deaf does not mean poorly educated. What you got to realize is these are labels. Okay? And I hate to tell you this, guys. Well, actually, I really don't. When you take a look at it, black is a color. Yellow is a color. And the rainbow is a whole pile of colors. Not a one of them is a better color than the next. Okay? Not a one of them is actually of any more value than the next. The other thing we have to realize, when I take a look at children, we had a quail, a family quail in front of my window here. Now, I spent just as much time trying to reunite that family as I will trying to reunite somebody else's. This is why I say, if you're running into a snag and you don't know where to start, absolutely, if you look at the top of the chat line of the chat room here, you'll see a link to buy me a coffee. Everything I do is available through that. But on the live stream here and in my newsletter, okay, both of those are just straight free. I'm not going to be adding a price to them. I will eventually be taking paid advertising in it, but not until I've got a decent subscription level. So many people look at somebody that is homeless and go, oh, that's a bad person. Stay away because they're evil. No, they've run into a really bad run. Okay. And the reality is that it's the same behavior that was carried out during the Dark Ages. Okay. During the Black Death. Now, in their case, they actually had a reason for it. But it's the same thing. If you look at people that are poor, this has been going on for centuries. And you guys still, on the whole, haven't learned this. The fact that somebody else has got the money to keep a roof over their head isn't because, it's not just because of poor spending. And certainly not often is it because of choice. But think about it. Okay. We have a bit, like I live in an apartment building. Okay. There are approximately 50 rooms in 50 apartments in that building. Okay. Now, if they were only charging $1,000 a month for renting each one of those rooms in this one apartment building, and I happen to know the owner of this apartment owns three others in this neighborhood, never mind anywhere else, all about the same size. One apartment building is generating $50,000 a month, okay, on just this one apartment. Okay, that's if they were making only $1,000 per month per apartment. Okay, but what people have done is gone, oh no. I can get $3,000 a month for it So that's what I'm charging. Okay, great. Now you're making $150,000 a month just for having a building there. Okay, it is greed that is causing the problem. There are people that come in here. Well, Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are right, Joe. Joe goes, sometimes being wary of a person is a good thing. Okay, sometimes the person they're being wary of is a complete dirtbag that might harm them. Human instinct. Absolutely, I've lived on it my whole life. Okay, but here's the thing we gotta realize. Absolutely, if you hear a problem with somebody, definitely take it into consideration. But like I've told people, I will watch what's going on and see the way people are what I'm being warned about. If they are causing a problem for other people, absolutely I'm going to step in. This is why I have given the moderators here absolute carte blanche. If they see a problem coming, take the problem out. Okay, so the moment somebody comes up with the idea of, but that's not fair. Somebody told me you can't paint people with the same brush. And actually, I really can. Okay, but, and I'm not going to name names because I just do not do that very often. But we have had moderators that became a problem. And rest assured, if I'm willing to toss a moderator out, you can bet whatever I have to do to keep this stream safe for everybody. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've watched people come in trying to derail the conversation, and bear in mind, let's be clear about something here. This live stream, this is a microcosm of what's going on out there. This is why I say if you've got a question, because I've had people say, I don't want to hijack the conversation. The point is clear. If you're asking a question that is on topic, that is in my purview, which, by the way, self-help, aliens, spirituality, okay, pretty much a wide open door. If you're asking for guidance, you are not hijacking the line. You're doing exactly what I said to do. Okay. But, and this is the other side of this, people will have disagreements and they will take them elsewhere. I will tell you, if disagreements become a problem here, I will remove the problem. Worst case scenario, I'll simply pull the plug. I've got no intention on doing that. Finally got my head on straight. When we have people looking, like the majority of people seem to be told this. If you're the person living on the street, if they're living on the street, they chose to be there. They just don't want to take responsibility, so they're living on the street. Now, I have spoken to a staggering number of homeless. Let me ask you, before you say whether somebody is on the street because they just don't want to do things the same or the right way. Okay, before you pass judgment on them. Okay, now yes, you'll make a first assessment. You only get one option to make a good first impression. Only one chance. But do you, and this is just for you to ask yourself individually, do you, before you pass a judgment, before you condemn somebody for being on the street, okay, do you even bother to ask why they're there? Okay, many times I see people in on the street because of the fact that, oh no, yeah, I talked to one kid, 13 years old, ended up living on the street because her dad did to her what no person should do to any person ever. Okay, she ended up on the street, not because she wanted to be there, but she didn't want to get again get brutalized every night. That was what she chose the street for. Now I'm not sure, but I look at it going this way. If I don't desire to be brutalized every night, I'm not going to sit there and wait for it. What about you? Okay, mental health is not just an individual thing. It is exacerbated or aided by your treatment of other people that are going through things. And bear in mind, okay, and I mean this appalls me. The number of people that call themselves spiritually minded, or I'm a messenger from God, I'm doing God's work. The number of these geniuses that close the door and leave the hungry and the homeless on the street in favor of having a gaudy building with all kinds of expensive glasswork. These people are not doing God's work. Okay, now do not get me wrong. I am very reclusive in my apartment unless I know the person, they're not coming in. Okay, and I realize that means I'm saying I'm trying to, I'm not saying I'm doing God's work, I'm doing mine. Okay, it's that simple. And under that parameter, I will help people as much as I can. Okay, I've done that to my own detriment, sadly, way too often. But recently, I've been seeing what I thought were mature adults behaving like kindergarten dropouts. Okay, and what I mean by that is I'm watching these geniuses. Okay, some of them I knew very well. Absolutely, Nightmares. Thanks so much for dropping in. Appreciate you sharing your time with us. Some of these people I watched, I got to know reasonably well. And unfortunately, I look at that and go, okay, now you're being a child. Okay, I've got people that kind of I see regularly, and I've literally told them, your behavior is no longer acceptable. Okay, now do not get me wrong. I seldom permanently close the door. Even with this one chap that I threw out of my house. If he were to show up, yes, I would talk to him. Would I keep a very tight watch on him? Certainly, he's already crossed it once. But as I've warned you, I'm a little on the literal side. And I know this is a 4-letter word to some people, but I take the definition out of the dictionary. Okay, that word being, and lots of people tell me, oh, he's mentally challenged. You can't use the word retarded. Actually, I really can't. And the fact is, in my opinion, if a person is that let's try English, is mentally slower than others, okay, the odds are they're not going to realize what's going on in that capacity anyway. It's the attitude behind them. Now, I will look at somebody that is mentally retarded. Okay, I know it's a bad word. Okay, but I will treat them the same way I treat somebody with a purported extremely high IQ. Okay, now this is just me, but this is the world I'm talking about building, or more to the point, rebuilding. Okay, and it is time for the children. And remember, if you have a mother and a father, okay, you are a child. Even if you were born in vitro or you were born in a vat, if you have a male and female component that makes your body, which by the way, no matter what you relate to, no matter what you're claiming, as in, I'm from another dimension, go ahead and claim what you will. I will tell you, if your body requires human food, required a male and female component to complete your body, if your body responds to what most people respond to in the way of medication. You're in a human body. Get over the fact that you're not happy with it. As in go, okay, I'm not happy with it. So what do I do to work with it? What do you do if your house isn't looking the same way you'd like it to? What do you do if your car is not as clean as you'd like it? Do you not get off your tail feathers and go and do something about it? Now, the thing I keep looking at where it comes to mental illness and how it affects people, have you ever heard of something called mob mentality? Okay. If not, you might want to look into it. Well, no, you might desire to look into it. I strongly recommend you do. But mob mentality boils down to this. One person decides to be a bit of a doorknob, and a whole pile of people jump on the bandwagon. Okay, this is bad thinking. Okay, it is poor thinking and leads to one outcome. It's called societal collapse. I don't know if you're looking forward to that. You know, what we've got to realize is in order to reach to a brighter tomorrow, we have to quit hanging on to the negative past. Now, there is absolutely some complications going on between some people I've seen. Okay, let go of what the fallout was. Okay, absolutely, it's a pain, especially if it's a well-seated. If you're dealing with the fallout of a well-seated or a long-standing friendship, relationship, business partnership, whatever. Okay, if you've had it there for a long time, it's going to be painful. Okay, but here's the sad kicker to it. So many people look at a conflict and go, it's all that person's fault. You know, it's all the other person's fault. I'm innocent. Okay, now I mentioned that my marriage collapsed. I actually pulled the plug on it. Now, part of the problem I couldn't do anything about wasn't in, there was no way to do anything about it. Okay, so that part definitely remained my ex's. Okay, but the fact that I know I did some things I shouldn't have done, absolutely. By the way, just to be clear, without being totally clear, our marriage came to a close because of one little detail. Okay, and I'm not going to get into that. What it didn't come to a close for was because of finances or fidelity. Now, the reality is, everybody I talked to that knew the situation was surprised that we didn't end up with a battle zone. Here's the thing. You desire your life to move forward. Forgive the transgressions that you've had against you. But remember, it is always, 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 and I don't use that very often, just 3 times in a row once in a while. Okay, whatever the conflict, okay, absolutely, one person may have done something completely backwards, but somewhere between their perception and your perception is the reality of it. Okay, now I'm not suggesting you forget the people that did something wrong. Okay, what I'm suggesting of is making absolutely certain that you look in the mirror and ask yourself, what did I do that could have been done better? Okay, now understand, you may not be able to see this. Well, everything's still running, so all of a sudden dead silence. It must have a timer on. That's my fan is shut down, everything else is running. But when you're looking at what went down, whatever happened somewhere between their perception and your perception is the truth. Okay, now in my case, I am quite happy to help people put things back together, but I will absolutely not look at something and go, it's 100% somebody else's fault. Okay, when we focus on the things that are wrong, what you're doing is undermining, quite literally, and you'll love this, you're literally undermining the superstructure of society. Okay, whenever you focus on what all is wrong in the world, that's when you run into a problem. Now, what we're looking at is this. Okay, I know some of you in the room, some of you that are either in the room now or are listening to it later. Many of you have been diagnosed as neurodivergent, or maybe you're schizophrenic, maybe you're autistic. These are labels. Okay, absolutely, you may well think about the world in a different fashion. Okay, but let me ask you this. What would you call, and what kind of a label would you put on somebody that goes, okay, we've got starvation going on in Africa. Okay, never mind in your local neighborhood. We've got starvation going on in Africa. Now, you got two options. One, put a little bit of medication in there and maybe give them a little bit of extra food. Talk to them about how much good they can do, and bolster their spirits. You can go that route. Or you can go and say, okay, here's a plot of land. It will handle 10,000 people. Okay, this is all it'll handle. You can send them spiritual guidance. You can send them food. You can talk to them about their education and leave the 100,000 there. Okay, the property only supports 10. So, what do you think of the person that goes, okay, give everybody the same option? This property has to be wiped out, and it's got to be reduced to only holding 10,000 people. Now, you got a choice. Those of you, we need some volunteers, as in 90,000 of you. We need volunteers to move off the property. What would you call somebody that looks at it and goes, okay, give you the time. At the end of that time, quite literally go through, do not take names, don't check who's in what appointment or who is appointed to what station. Don't even look at who they pray to. Start on one side, and you can flip that on a coin if you want. And wholesale, remove the people, pick them up. I don't mean kill them. I mean pick them up, put them onto a wagon. Okay. Put them onto a wagon, onto a bus, move them, even against their will, off the property. Okay. Now, what would you call somebody that backs up that idea? We are not talking about killing people. We are talking about taking away their right to choose whether to stay on the property. Because if everybody stays there and nobody's moving, 90,000 of you are going to die anyway. Okay, you're going to starve to death. So, what is the label for somebody that goes, okay, we're just categorically moving 90,000 people. We're not checking who they vote for, how much money they've got, what gender they are, who they're crawling into bed with. We're not checking anything. We're walking in and going, okay, I got to get 90,000 people out of this property. So, we're going to go through and we're going to take every block. We're going to start at this block here, whatever block it is. And we're going to take them, as much of their belongings as we can get, and forcibly move them off the property to another location. What do you call the person that backs that up? And before I go back to that, Joe's just going, well, the garbage is done for tomorrow morning. Police siren just drove fast down my street, but nothing to be concerned about. Joe, I hope the police siren was attached to a police car. Although it would be much more entertaining with it not there. Now, The reason I asked that question, and like I said, don't leave it for long, because I came to the conclusion that much as I prefer direct interaction, that's not the way this stream has moved. Okay, so with this in mind, that method of solving the starvation problem is the same one that the off-worlders will use if they get forced to. Okay, those of you that have parents, that have kids, those of you that have kids, have you ever referred to them as stupid, as in you're just stupid, or have you gone, doing that is just kind of stupid? Which way do you go with it? Because I will tell you, children will absorb what you tell them. If you tell them they're stupid, they'll believe it. Okay? If you're told you're stupid, and by the way, what I'm referring to here is deliberate perpetuation of mental illness. Okay? This is what society is doing. And it's also what I came back to see if we can circumvent. Now, I can only do so much on my own. That's just the reality behind it. You have the option of putting your part in and removing that problem. But that's up to you. Okay. I cannot make that decision for you. I can tell you what I think. But I'm better off not doing that. The neat part about it, when we look at the way this world is working, we have to realize you've got a choice. Are you going to look outside from here on out and go, okay, there's somebody living on the street. This means they're of a lesser quality. Okay, now I look at the people on the street. I've dealt with the people on the street. Many of them can build their own little cluster of friends, their own way of supporting. And yet, yeah, I've got a definite bone of contention with some religions. Okay, I was approached by somebody to go to their temple. And more to the point, they told me, and this is years ago, they told me point blank, I'd have invited you to our temple if you'd have been dressed better. Now, I will tell you, what you're dressing does not have any bearing on how much value you bring to the world or how much joy you may bring to an individual. This is the thing we have to realize. If people continue putting everybody else down, okay, and it seems to have developed into an absolute disaster. People put others down in order, it would seem, to make themselves seem better by comparison. Now, I refuse to put individuals down. I will absolutely tell somebody they're behaving in a completely stupid fashion. Absolutely, I will. Oh, but you said you shouldn't do that. No, I said it's counterproductive. Okay, telling somebody they're making a bad choice. I read a post on Facebook that said if you're a true light worker, and I'm paraphrasing, if you're a true light worker, you should not be telling another light worker their perception is wrong. You should be the one to step aside and go, okay, you're entitled to your own opinion, have at it. I'm telling you, this is absolutely a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, you don't have to believe me by any stretch, but ask yourself, you're standing there underneath you're staying there at night or during the day, it's pouring rain on you, and you go, I don't believe in rain. Do you think you're going to dry out anytime soon? This is the thing that we have to realize, is it's up to you to decide whether you're going to encourage people or you're going to discourage them. That's your call. Okay. But I will tell you, anytime you post something that is negative, you're the one showing your negative, not the fact, not the art of the person of the article. Okay, what we have to realize is whatever you see yourself as, that is filling in part of that equation for the article, for that life. Okay, so have you ever talked down to somebody aside from when you're standing up and they're sitting down? The fact of the matter is, you can look out the window, you can look at all the negative things going on if you'd like. I'm not interested in it anymore. I don't like vertigo much. Mind you, I'm still sitting well over 100 degrees. So when we're looking at this world, we have to realize everybody has their own story. Everybody has good things that have happened. Everybody has bad things that have happened. Okay. It's not whether you've had good or bad happen. It's how did you deal with it? Okay. Did you deal with it by blaming other people? Or did you deal with it by going, okay, what part of that did I have to do with? Now, I was talking to an insurance adjuster one day. And he looks at me and he goes, look. He says, if you are rear-ended, he says, legally, if you're rear-ended, the driver is responsible. Now, he then went on to say, but realistically, at least 40%, probably 50% of that accident where you were sitting still and you got rear-ended, half of that is your responsibility. Because in his eyes, had you been watching the window frame, okay, or had you been watching your rearview mirror, okay, and seen that individual come around the corner, you may have been able to move your car out of the way so it didn't impact. This is not always the case. But the point was this. Even in a rear end collision, you're suffering from something somebody else did. This is just the reality behind it. You don't have to agree with me. I will venture to say many of you will. Okay. Now, when we look at this, it is time to really put the negative past to rest once and for all. Okay. I mean, I've got all sorts of things going on here. I have started working on the various different new books I was talking about. But, let me see this. Okay. Yeah, we are now working on page 57 out of 95. So we are over halfway. Okay. I don't think I'll be able to pull it all together and get it done by the end of this month. But this is why this is Race of the Worlds I'm talking about. The way I see it is this. By telling you this is what I'm doing and then doing it, I'm actually leading by example, not by word. Okay, and that's the thing that we have to realize. Karmic law is simple. Energy out, energy in. If you are dealing with people and you're looking at the majority of them and telling them directly, you're stupid. What you're doing is setting the stage for them to have troubles. Now, do not get me wrong. Some people are not equipped to deal with certain things. But whatever your state of mind, however you carry yourself out of the house, that is the state of mind that you're perpetrating on everybody. No, you don't have to agree with me. Okay. The fact of the matter is, I'm not going to lie to you to make you feel that. But I will tell you, here's a boundary I've had to cross because of the fact I didn't have to see another option. The intriguing part about it all is this. Yes. Yeah, that was really good English. The real intriguing problem is so many people go, it's their fault. Okay, it's their fault. It's the ancient races. It's the, it's the off-worlders. It's God's fault that my life sucks. Well, I could go that route. And then I could find a nice quiet church. And rest assured, during the day now, they're more and more quiet. But I could do that. And I could sit there and stare at the idiot box and go, my life is miserable. I don't want to live it anymore. Yeah, you can do that. And more often than not, sadly, it seems to lead to suicide. No, I'm not telling you how to do that. But if you're the kind of person that says, okay, I see you're having trouble, what can I do to help? Not what do you need? What they need is a shoulder. Okay, that just cuts to the brass tacks of it. But when you're dealing with society, you have to realize different clients are going to bring different attitudes. Okay, this is the thing we have to look at. And unless we start working together as a complete conglomeration, we're going to have trouble. Okay, now, the reality is, if I take this path, okay, I don't think you can see it. Oh. What did I do? Oh, that's where my problem is. Brain apparently is on hold. Okay, if I hold this up, okay, now, it's a pretty cut and dried issue. I'm holding this as just a post-it notes package. But here's the kicker. This is the article. This is the file I'm talking about. If I feed it, if I water it, if I do whatever I can to build it up, the odds are it won't work because it requires the other party to make the same choice that they desire to live. Okay, you've got to make the same decision. Do you desire to change your life for you? Okay, because you're a striving changer for somebody else. What happens when they change and when they change their mind and go, I don't like the business you're in? What are you going to do at that point? This is one of those things I look at and go, okay, here's the kicker to it. I'm actually looking for something. And it clearly is not going to remain visible, so I'm not getting it. But when you take a look at it, okay, ask yourself, are you being true to you? You're going to have to be direct. You're likely going to hurt somebody's feelings. But the critical factor is this. If you're being true to you, in the long run, you may never see the people again. But in the long run, you will feel better about you. I know this for a certainty because of the fact that I've seen it. Okay. Now, I'm not one to go, oh, here's my proof. Here's the proof of the date, the time, what I was doing. Here's what I had for breakfast. I'm not going to tell you what I had for breakfast this morning. Okay. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to you. What I do know makes sense is right now, we've got a lot of people in this chat room. I can't even begin to give you the numbers. I can tell you we've got 300 345, 300 plus number of members anyway. Actually, I think it's close to 500. But here's the kicker. I don't see any one of you as more important or more valuable than the next. Okay. I just simply look at the situation we're dealing with and go, okay, what can we do to make it a better place? Okay. Any ideas, guys? And this does not mean it has to be edible. This means that if you know it, and it cheers you up, this is a bonus. And rest assured, the thing that gets put in most parents' entry before they even put on taking a phone or take a recording device to turn over to the dog. Okay, now you're in a position where I'm offering you literally through positive perspectives and positive perceptions. I'm offering you a free guided tour where you can land on your feet. Okay, because the fact is, they tell me it's lonely at the top. So I figure if I take all my friends and acquaintances with me, I'll be too busy shaking hands. Won't get a healing done. Young Nathan, I'm really glad you don't have a show tonight, because there is no way I'd be doing it. Assuming you want me on there. But right now, because I didn't get the sleep that I actually desired, okay, and my equilibrium is collapsing, I've got to look at life in a slightly different fashion. Okay, now, what we're going to do is look at this. First and foremost, I'm presuming most of you know how to set things up. Okay, for those of you that don't, I'm not good at setting them up either. Because, the simple truth is, I have complications on my end. I've got insights on my end. But there is not a snowball's prayer that I'm going to sit down and try and figure out how the human race sees quantum mechanics, specifically relating to the UFO world. Okay. I am not happy with the fact that I'm fighting vertigo right now. Not happy with that at all. So if I fall down and end up on the floor, don't worry, I'm not dead. The reality of it is this. My system works a little different. But find what works for you. I'm not saying you have to do the things the same way I do. I'll tell you won't. Okay. You will end up taking on other relationships. Other complications that people call you on to help with a problem. You'll have that decision to make all over again. But again, be true to yourself first. Okay. When Ellie and I were getting the numbers ready for this stream, okay, we go through them one step at a time. Because if we don't, we have a neat little problem. What they call CCs, carbon copies, will be made and shipped back to the original partner. Okay, yes, I've seen it done. But what you got to remember is it's up to you whether you're going to permit it to be done to you. I think I screwed something up here. I did. Now, the neat part about it is this. If we are going to take this world and put it back on the right track, then we're going to have to do it in a different fashion. Because let me ask you this. For those of you that are doing your best to actually move ahead, to actually help stabilize this planet, okay, are you having any luck with it? Okay, if you're not having luck with it, it may be time to reassess what you're up to. You understand? See, the thing is this. Mental health boils down to this. When you get into a discussion with somebody of a different mindset, when you get done with that discussion, if you're still feeling secure in your own outlook, you're mentally fine. If you're now questioning whether your outlook was wise, now you've got a problem. Okay? Because it's with that outlook that determines whether or not you're going to heal. Okay? Now, again, it boils down to the same thing. Are you healing for you, or are you striving to heal for somebody else? I will tell you, more often than not, regardless of the person's medical state, regardless of the way their mental health is deteriorating, they are just as valuable as the next person, and they can do just as much damage. Okay, this is something we have to realize, that you're not alone in this endeavor, but you probably feel like you do. Yeah. See, both Joe and LA. Joe and LA both go, I handle it the same way. I pull away from people. I've done that for a very long time. And thanks to your guys' encouragement, and specifically the hours of help I've had with LA Moon myself and with Storm, those hours have paid off for me enough that I can look at it and go, this is what needs to be done. And as it was put to me by one of my guides, if not you, who? If not when? If not now, when? That is the thing you have to look at. Okay. Yeah, my day today has been absolutely ridiculous. I got up. When did I get up? This is why I write things down. Today. I'm done there. Today was intriguing. I actually went to bed at 5. Okay. No. Sorry, I lied. Well, was mistaken. I actually went to bed at midnight and was back up at 5. Okay. But something is definitely off kilter there. And I'm going to have to work with it. Yeah, this is why I say, Joe, and I do appreciate you bringing that up. Joe is watching Nathan's show on the TV right now. We had a phenomenal discussion yesterday. And the reality is, it boils down to helping people move forward. Okay, to sharing insights. Cosmic Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I actually don't think I've seen you in here before, so welcome aboard. And just like you tell everybody, if you've got a question, Cosmic, even if it's not on the topic we're discussing right this second, pop it in the chat room in all caps. I will do my best to catch it and answer it. But I have these same conversations with off-worlders, ancient races, and local denizens alike. I don't see a difference between any of them. The reality is that when you're looking at life, if you're content with your mindset, then stay with it. But remember, you may be content with it, but if your mindset is creating a cross current that's causing a problem, it may well be wise to stop following that path. My computer decided it was going to do a glitchy thing. There we go. Now, what we're looking at here is to bring all of you people, all of you, into one room and go, okay, we have our differences, but let me ask you this. And I don't care who answers it, anybody should be able to. Okay. Do you know anybody whose bodily functions can be transferred to a bucket? Okay. Do you know anybody that has gone through that or is going through it? There is a point for this question, by the way. So many people I've run into have been diagnosed schizophrenic, which really, in my opinion, more often than not means they look at the world in a different fashion than the common people do. That being said, ultimately, you can safely say I'm mentally dysfunctional. Although I've got 3 shrinks that have all said the same thing. Okay, that I do know what I'm doing. And this is why. Absolutely there, Nathan. You take care. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. And yeah, the reality is, Nathan, I will probably, when this stream is done, I will probably close my eyes for 15 minutes because I've got half an hour and everything set up for it. But what we're looking at in this day and age is it's time to nip the negative in the butt. Now, you've got a choice. You can continue on the path you're on. You're welcome to it. I will warn you, the path that society is on right now is going into a tailspin. Okay, it is turning into something that's going to be a major problem. Well, that didn't work well. Again, it is critical that when we're looking at society, take a look at the major chunks. Okay, now you figure out who are the rich ones. Go back to 2003. We had a fire in the city. Okay, now at the time we only had about 100,000 people living in city limits, but in the electoral district, we had over 200. We had, if I recall correctly, we had 255. Here's the kicker. The people coming out of the poor sections, okay, were helping people as best they could. I saw one where the gentleman was driving into town. He was leaving his home, and he came across a family with three adults, and he never stopped to go, "Oh, you'll be fine. You've got each other." What he did was he stopped, asked him if he could help. In the process of doing that, he took a massive problem that could have erupted into a disaster, and he reformatted it so it worked like a proper mining industry. But that took him hours to calculate. Okay, yeah, I know. How can it take hours to make a calculation? Fact of the matter is, being an accountant does not mean you know how to make and that you know how to cook anything. Okay, now what we're looking at is where to go from here. Now, Positive Perspectives is being written for August as we speak. You guys got October, got September's issue. Okay, but I am doing my best to put it out. Okay, and what we're looking at now is simple. We got a lot of people looking at totem poles and going, "Oh, my God's at the top." Meanwhile, their God, their guide is a beaver. Okay, so when you're looking at that, understand everybody can relate to things where they will. do not make a judgment on that person at that point. Okay, that is simply the easiest way to look at it. But we're looking at a situation that requires much more finesse than natural work. Okay, don't know if that makes sense, but it is what you're looking at. I am not pleased with this. Now, here's a neat little thing. When you take a lot of people pointing the finger at a smaller group and saying that smaller group is the problem, that is everybody. Like if you take a look at, for instance, homeless people are schizophrenic, paranoid, lazy, delusional. These are all things that I've heard people call these people. Here's the thing. Here's another set of labels for it if you'd like them. Self-directed. Okay. Sacrificing. They are people that are putting their life on hold in order to make things change. Okay. So they may well be very innovative. One thing every one of them are. They're all human. And yeah, I know there's those of you out there that go, I'm not human, I'm different. Whoop. Hello.
Really?
Yeah, Keith, Lynn's been listening to you and watching your movements, and she's really concerned about your blood sugar levels right now. We'd like you to go get at least a little snack or something so that to make sure that you can, make it through till you can take your nap.
That I can do. Give
All
me
right.
10 seconds. I've got bread up front. I can grab a sandwich quite quickly.
Cool. We just want to make sure you stay safe, and we'll go to intermission.
Okie doke.
All right. We'll see you in a minute.
That you will.
Awesome. Perfect.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
I would rather have you get something to eat and be able to do what you want to do rather than have you fall over and not be able to do anything about it.
Well, on the plus side, I don't have far to fall. But just put your mind at ease. It was just a sandwich, but peanut butter and honey, unpasteurized honey, I might add, and a glass of milk. And I brought this back just to balance it out.
Good stuff.
So-
Good way to go.
It should be in functional shape. Yeah, let's see what I missed while I was here. Well, I wasn't here more to the point. So way back up here.
Yeah, Cosmic was
Okay.
talking about his nephew giving him help.
Who was talking about it? Oh,
Cosmic.
Yeah. Yeah, my nephew helped me with laundry, and see, I can't see a dang thing right now. That's always fun. This is why I'm getting these changed, by the way. I do have an appointment for the 31st,
Excellent.
but that was the earliest I could get it. Where are we here? I'll go into the 311 concert in August. That ought to be fun, Cosmic. The only reason I wouldn't go to the 311 concert is because even if I could get to it, is because there are way too many people at the concert now for me to cope with. You know, the reality of it is this. Whatever you're told, you know, if people are looking at the way the world is, you know, we're told that a team is only as strong as its weakest member. Well, guess what? If you're looking at society and you're basing the success of that society on finances, then the people living on the street for whatever reason are the weak point in most cases. Now, I did meet a chap on the street. He was living on the street with almost $1 million in the bank. Okay. Now, I'd love to have the $1 million in the bank, but he lived there by choice. You know, the fact of the matter is, where in your case, in Cosmic, with your nephew helping you with that, absolutely give the munchkin and you probably, some people don't like that term. Understand, guys, munchkin is a term pulled right out of the Wizard of Oz. Okay. But in my eyes, it's just a term I use. But he definitely deserves, as Ellie Moon put out, he does deserve a good pat on the back for his efforts. Oh, and Cosby is just adding to it. You know, he takes care of his mom also. This is fantastic. We really require more people like your nephew. Okay, where they reach out to help the people in trouble. This stream here is about that. This is why I say if somebody oversteps, when they get popped out of the room, that is because they're getting out of control and they're going to cause a problem. Now, I know there's going to be a changeover with some of the people here. I know this because of what I can see coming. You know, one thing that we got to remember. Oh, nice, Cosmic. Yeah, Cosmic goes, I've been buying him stuff for his good deeds. Just a thought, Cosmic. And I'm not questioning your ability by any means. But one thing that I know my parents did not do, and that I am now doing for my kids, are you sitting down with him and teaching him how money in the real world works? Okay, buying him all the stuff, buying him the toys, great, no problem with that. You know, if I had the money to do it, I would. But what I have found with a lot of people, too many are looking at it going, oh, I got told that I'm lazy and therefore I'll never get anywhere in life. Okay, the reality of it is this. virtually everybody has lazy days. I mentioned on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday, I did almost nothing all day. Okay, but here's the kicker: lazy is simply more often than not a lack of energy. It's a lack of drive. Now, fortunately, Cosmic, we know you and your nephew's mom. There's probably a better way of putting that. We know you're giving them the guidance and the encouragement that your nephew requires. Okay. Unfortunately, most people are not like that. This is where we go. Give yourself a pat on the back. As a matter of fact, Cosmic, I'll give you a pat on the back for it. Because it's this kind of behavior that we've got to stop others from utilizing. I.e., if you overhear somebody telling their kid they're stupid, okay, my first instinct is, okay, you're the parent calling that kid stupid. Where did you drop the ball that kid didn't learn? Okay, and don't get me wrong, not every parent can teach their child how to move forward. And there we go. Cosmic goes, he's a bright adult of 42, but he is still, the funny part about it is I've always held, as you guys have seen, that a person, no matter what their age, is still a child. And I will tell you, any parent, any uncle, if they're worth their salt, will look at that kid, even though he's 42. It's still your nephew. Okay, I've got a nephew that's going through some trouble right now. That as soon as I've got the money to help, I will. But I know what the problem is. I know how to cure it. I don't have the money for it. So that's where that is. But I will tell you, there's an old saying that goes, if I knew then what I know now, I'd love it if I realized back then where I would be sitting right now. I'll tell you, this world on the whole would be a very different place. The reality of it is this. Okay, when we tell the people around us that they are stupid, okay, do understand, if I tell somebody they're stupid, there is a reason for it. I mean, everybody's got a reason, otherwise you wouldn't say it. In my case, I'll tell you flat out. If I tell you you're being stupid, it's because stupidity to me means you know better and you're doing it anyway. Okay? If I look at true ignorance, that means for whatever reason, it wasn't phrased right, the instruction wasn't received properly, you couldn't make heads or tails of the instruction. This is true ignorance. Okay? This is why I call people either truly ignorant or stupid. If you know better, if you're texting, if you're driving and texting, you're not able to concentrate properly on both texting and driving at the same time. Now, I'm a natural multitasker. Aside from this stream and with certain activities, I am doing 2 or 3 things at the same time all the time. Okay, but I will not drive and try and text at the same time. To me, that's just suicidal. But absolutely. And yes, I'm going to directly ask you guys to do this. Okay, we've got a lot of people that are out on the street right now that are not out there by choice. They're out there because greed has made it impossible for many people to actually survive to actually keep a roof over their head. So I will ask each and every one of you to go to whatever church you're going to. And the reason I say church is because the churches are the ones that say that tout, we're here to take care of the poor. We're here to take care of the sick. Okay, these are the people claiming that's what they do. Call them on it. Ask them how much they've put into actually putting housing in place. Or for that matter, why on a really bad night do they not open the door to the church and say, okay, guys, it's freezing out there. Thanks so much, Ellie. You know, like especially in the winter or in this kind of heat, when they're making that much money, and rest assured, check into it yourself as far as what kind of money is going on. Okay, but my understanding from what I discovered on the internet was that between the main religions, they have 60% of the finances, not the elites. 60 of the religions have 60% of the control of finances. Now, if that's the case, call on your parishes, call on your church, on your temple, whatever you will, and ask them what they are doing to help the people on the street, to get them off the street. Why are they not opening the doors to the church? Okay. Or opening the doors to the Coliseum in the schools during the times when temperatures are so far below. Okay, when you're dealing with freezing temperatures, or you're dealing with temperatures so far off the charts, i.e., like my son works for a company that when the temperature gets up, because he works outdoors, we were over 100 degrees today, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We were over 40 Celsius. But the company he works for, what they do is they come out and on top making sure they pull the kids in and the workers inside, they provide Gatorade, okay, an electrolytic balance for the staff. They don't charge them for it. They just bring it in and go, here, get it into you. Now, with this in mind, why are the churches, why are the temples there claiming to guide the spiritual guidance, and claiming to provide the spiritual guidance for the community? Why are they not doing the same thing for the homeless or for the poor? I mean, realistically, this is what I'm talking about, mental health. We're taught, we're told, take care of the elderly, take care of the sick, take care of the poor. And yet the people telling us to do that are not doing it. Now, I'm telling you, I've got a newsletter kind that comes out that is absolutely free of charge. Okay. And I'm putting the thing out there. Okay. I made a comment. I was going to do my own advertising. What did I do? My own advertising. 5 days from the time I made the comment, I've got 4 readings going through the door, 4 consultations. I am absolutely opening that door. And I'm having better luck than all the thousands of dollars I put out there. Now, there are reasons people don't do things. Procrastination is a great delay tactic. Okay, what we're looking at right now is we've got a choice. We can sit on our backsides and we can continue to watch people neglect their own self-proclaimed responsibility. Okay, we can absolutely sit back and go, oh, they say they're doing God's work, so they must be. If they're not helping the sick and the poor according to their own statements, they're not doing their job. Okay, now, I will not tell you I'm better than anybody. Matter of fact, I'm probably one of the most pessimistic people you'll ever run into. Figure that one out. But if you let people continue to label people in a negative, in a derogatory fashion, absolutely what you're doing is you're undermining your own community, your own society. Okay? And I know nobody wants to, very few people want to look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm creating a problem. Nobody likes, that I'm aware of, likes to be told they've got a problem. Okay, or that they're doing something ineffectively. Now, I mentioned to you guys before, and by the way, LA, thank you very much. Feeling a lot better at this point. I mentioned that LA Moon and Storm have stepped up to the plate in absolute spades. Okay, and where I have a tendency of neglecting me, these two and my other half are absolutely on the ball, making sure that I don't do something absolutely stupid. Well, I'm probably going to do something stupid anyway. Okay, but the reality of it is, I can come up with excuses for why I do it. Certainly, so can you. Okay, like, why do I play with knives? Well, because I like to fidget with things. This makes a lot less noise than these do. Okay, but the noise doesn't bother me too much. I do know that most people don't like the fact that I don't sit still. I tried doing a live interview one day. They were doing a recording for TV. Every time they asked me a question, I went to say something. Oh, you can't move. Then you're not talking to me. Oh, Cosmic is just saying, we neo-thinkers deal with value creation and product and avoid devastation of any kind. And that is really appreciated, Cosmic. The fact of the matter is, we've got billions of people out there while listening to people say, oh, take care of you take care of the poor and the sick. But while you're doing that, give me money. That's how you show that you're committed to God. God doesn't need your money. Okay, rest assured, before man came along, money wasn't even an option. And I mean, he built the entire planet. Yeah, you can argue that point. We can go into that on a different day. Okay, there are all kinds of ways of looking at things. But I'm giving all the money to the church today because they claim they're going to try to deal with the poor and the sick. If they were, like somebody on Facebook one day posted about a year ago. He goes, in the United States, there are approximately 360,000 churches. When you combine all the denominations. He says, but what I'm wondering is why, with 360,000 churches, why do we have 200,000 people living on the street? Okay, there was a charity in town here. They used to be putting out a food truck, and they were going out to the poor area. They were going out to the poor areas with a food truck and giving them one meal a day to the poor people. Yes, some of the wealthy people came out and had a meal as well and got it for free. But these people that were claiming to work to help the poor turned around and went, bear in mind they were getting a lot of donations from people. They turned around and went, we're stopping the food truck because it's not making us a profit. Profit in a spiritual sense. I'll tell you, I come in here, I talk for a couple of hours, right? And I get something like this. LA goes, Storm steps in, and to quote Storm's quote, Storm goes, to quote James T. Kirk, what does God need with a starship? Okay, God doesn't require a starship. But, Storm breaks in and goes, Keith, you're looking a little off kilter. We're concerned, LA is concerned about your blood sugar. Okay, this is what I get. Okay, I'm not getting money from the stream. Not at all. Okay, I will in time get book sales from it. That comes about from that link at the top. Okay, from Buy Me a Coffee. That's where the books, where my consulting, that's where it gets booked for one-on-one or for purchases. But the stream itself, my payment is when I hear from people like you that go, things are actually working for me now. You know, somebody bought one of my books, right? One of my self-help books, writes me and phones me up and says, look, before I got this book, I was having trouble making ends meet. Got the book, I just financed a brand new car. Okay, now, I turned around, I've been telling people for years, I don't know how to market well. Well, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Thousands of dollars and several years later, the advertising I spent money on with the people that know how to do it, not even an inquiry, 5 days after I start, and I'm starting to make money. Okay, now I don't care one way or the other about the money to speak of, except for the fact that I'm required to keep a roof over my head. I will tell you, you want to really make somebody happy, take a look, and I will do this with people that are in wheelchairs. Okay, whether they have, you know, a mental illness or not. I talk to them the same way I talk to you guys. Okay, if I'm face to face with you, I'm gonna talk the same way. You know, if I'm on another stream, somebody asks me a question, I will follow the rules of the stream, okay, or the podcast. But I will deal with people the same way. I just don't see the point in trying to create something new. Now we are looking at a world here that we have a choice. Either continue on the path you're on or change the path you're following. Okay, if you stay on the path you're on, that's a big if, because most of you are on the path you're on because you never got shown a different way. This is why I came back to the world at this time, is to turn the light back on and let you know where the potholes are, where the chairs in the middle of the hallway are, where the effort you're putting in is going sideways. Okay, sad to say, and this is going to get me in trouble, you know, likelihood. Where it comes to charity, I will in time, when I've got the cash flow, be opening up and running my own charity. It will not be a nonprofit organization. Think about it. You say it's nonprofit. Number one, I'm not going into a business or into any sort of work without some sort of return. That's just not the way I operate. But in every charity I've looked into, they are taking the best one I heard, take 70 cents on the dollar of your donation that's supposed to be going to the charity. 70% is the best I've found. Takes that money and puts it in their coffer to cover their administration costs, which means, by the way, you're paying for their administration. When I get the charity up and running, 100% of whatever comes in as a donation will go to help other people. It will never go to a nonprofit organization. My own money, I refuse to donate to a registered charity. What I do is I take whatever money I've got available and I'll go and buy somebody groceries or I'll buy somebody a meal. I don't go, how much money do you have? You know, I will ask a person on the street why they're on the street. Okay. And there's a reason for that. One guy, I asked him, he told me he was on the street because he was an alcoholic. And he'd been through AA 4 times already. Okay, great company, great support group. Okay, if you're having trouble with alcohol, I strongly recommend you get in touch with somebody there. Okay, that said, this is one of the things that I'm pretty certain I'm going to have to deal with here at one point. I don't know at this stage because I'm not looking at I don't think I've got the sheet open. Where are we? That. I am looking at, go way back up here. Nope, don't have it broken down yet. Okay, I'm going to have to break that down. But I do know, of course, my brain's on hold. No, I'm not having trouble thinking, just having trouble staying organized. That is. Oh, I think I destroyed that, didn't I? Yep, I did. I'll deal with that afterwards. In any event, we're going to have to deal with down the road. Down the road, by the way, in this case, means we're going to look at it, intriguingly enough, because we're still dealing with mental health. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at some of what affects the people off this planet. But on Tuesday, we're going to deal directly with addictions and give you an idea and some functional tools that have been tried, tested, and proven by other people, by literally thousands of people. Okay, we're going to give you the tools to do it. I'm looking at it right now going, there's no way I'm trying to lay those out because it'd just be blurk. There it is. But it's a song that goes like that. But somebody else can work on that. When we're dealing with mental illness, understand society right now has a massive mental illness. They are promoting ignorance, laziness. They are promoting bullying, segregation, separation. This is what you're being taught. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking if the people you're looking up to are saying it's better to be separated and on your own, I think they miss the old thing. United we stand, divided we fall. Society is falling. Okay, there's no nice way to put it. Okay, think about it. We used to have, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, to understand I was colorblind, which meant I only had 3 colors of people. You were either absolutely midnight black, you were albino, or you were gray. Okay, that was the only colors I knew. Now I can see all the other ones. But I'm telling you, I don't see people based on the color of their skin or based on what they're wearing. I remember walking with somebody one day, and they noticed that the person across the street had a huge 2-foot rooster cut. Only 4 spikes, but their hair, I kid you not, it was like that far over their head. And the person that I was walking with at the time turned around and goes, and they made a derogatory comment, not loud enough for the person to hear, but loud enough for me to hear. And I just looked at him and went, tell me, are you more upset with the fact that he's got the courage to wear his hair that way, or the fact that you don't? Understand, when we support each other, we support society. When we separate each other, we separate society. And society's already had that done. You remember Rome? I do. Not a fun time. Remember the Crusades? Riot. Not. Okay. The Black Death. I made a killing financially speaking. I was a coroner and a mute. I still ended up burying both my wife and my 2 kids. It's funny, all through many of my lifetimes, I'm just thinking this, I actually had 2 kids in many of them. Now, with this in mind, we are going to continue on tomorrow. We're going to take a look at not only this world, but what's happening out there, where mental illness comes to play, and some of the different things that people can do to modify that and get back on track. So yes, if you've got people that are suffering from autism, schizophrenia, paranoia, absolutely invite them, because I'm going to be giving tools over the next 2 days to deal with that. Okay, to give you practical, hands-on ways of dealing with it. with this in mind. Okay. Then we're under the 5-minute mark now. So absolutely. Thank you guys all for sharing your time with us today. I really appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.